On today's first podcast, Danny reviewed the superb Copperpot Journals album, Plotting to Kill Your Friends. That wasn't a pointed dig at him. I listened to a band called Alkaline Trio, From Here to Infirmary, which I was aware of, but I'd never really listened to. And we discussed the When We Were Young lineup 2025. We touched upon it. And we also talked about emo band name generators. Of course. Enjoy.
Whoever goes first here,
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting one because this sounds like it's one of not your favourite albums ever, but like is a fave of yours.
It's definitely
something
up
you
there.
in high regard. Okay, yeah. So's the album I recommended to you.
Yeah.
So this feels like this could go double whammy wrong.
Make or break.
Make
Real
or break in this
shit.
podcast and friendship.
I'm not going fuzzy.
Go on then.
Right, Danny. What did I ask you to listen to last week?
You asked me. I mean,
it's a mouthful. That's why I asked you.
Yeah, Copperpot Journals. Is that it?
That's
that's
correct.
right, isn't it?
I don't know what it means.
Copperpot Journals. No, I literally the first thing I wrote down after listening to it was what is a copper pot? I mean, I know what copper is, and I know what a pot is. What is a Copperpot Journal?
Brag.
It's humble brag, yeah. I know what copper is, but yeah, it's a not a very good band name.
I
Let's
really
just
like
start
it.
there. It's so like stick two random words together,
Yeah.
like
As was
and
the,
just hope it sounds
Style at the
that was
time.
yeah. Flick through the dictionary, two words.
Yeah.
Normally one an adjective and then one. Do you know what I mean? Like like whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, it works. A band name's one of them. Doesn't always mean anything. Like
No.
I guess.
Do you remember those? If we can go off a tangent before we started, those random
Let's
name
do it.
generators you used to get.
Yes,
I wonder if they use one of those. They're at the right era.
100%.
Like
yeah.
I
This
use
was a
them for all my early
MySpace.
band names.
This is a MySpace random band generator.
Yeah,
definitely.
100%. They were good, man. Like, especially because emo bands, like you say, are just 2 or 3 random words put together. It was quite easy for even early computers to nail that.
Yeah,
Got some
It
bangers
was.
out of that.
I swear, like there's bands like Matchbook Romance or whatever. Like that's one definitely that came off.
100%.
That came off the internet. That
Yeah,
wasn't
all
someone
of
came up
those.
with that. Mm-hmm.
I wonder
And
if
this feels a bit
they're
like
still
that.
there. Like the Space Jam website. I'll have to have a look.
Oh my god! Please find it.
That'd be so
Maybe we can
good.
find a better name for the podcast.
Yeah.
Make it the most emo thing ever.
Yeah.
Maybe we should name each episode by
It'll be
using
my-
the random
like-
emo.
My darling journal or something.
We always used to have a joke that was whenever we played with my first band and we were playing with a band that was particularly quote unquote seen, we used to always call them what was it, Bleeding Shotgun Roses was always like the name of the band that we made up because it always just felt like the most emo random generated Bleeding
Yeah.
Shotgun Roses.
So
that
could have
just
been a real
sounds-
one.
That they were a good deafy screamo band.
Yeah.
I always imagined that they were Scottish. I don't know why.
That's a random little nugget. I like
it's
that.
because we saw Enter Shikari once play at a really small venue when they were like still up and coming, and there was a Scottish band that played with them who were like a proper screamo, tight jeans, massive belt buckles, fringe
Yeah.
band, and he was Scottish, and me and my mate Billy went to watch them, and they were just basically. Rather than introducing the songs, they were basically kept saying how they had nowhere to sleep in like the place they were staying, and they kept saying, "Can we stay at your house?" Like between every single song. So me and Billy, whenever we see each other in a Scottish accent, say, "Can I stay at your house?"
That's amazing.
But they were basically Bleeding Shotgun Roses.
That's that's really made
We've
me
already
laugh.
digressed into scene. I mean, it's kind of apt listening to this album because it felt like a band that I probably should have seen support someone. Like I wrote down like Hondo McLean or someone like that.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, like it felt like even listening to the recording, it sounded like a band I could have seen at some little club night kind of thing
yeah.
in 2006 or something like that. I don't know. And I wrote down that it stinks of you 20 years ago.
What, Lynx Africa?
Yeah, no, it just is very you. Yeah, it's
It's
just the only
so
way I can
me.
describe it. Yeah, it's so you.
Yeah.
But 20 years ago, that's the only way I can describe it.
And this is why, no offense to this podcast,
Go
but recommending music is pointless because this band are so me, and it's like I could totally understand why other people might not love it, but it's so in my
Yeah.
wheelhouse. I
Oh yeah.
love them.
But it feels like
Ridiculous.
it feels like you have obviously branched out music wise from
Yeah, I
then.
think I've got a hinterland when it comes to
A
music.
touch. I don't know. We'll find out as we get further into this when we run out of bands in like 3 podcasts time. But which I'm getting thin on the ground. I need to really start digging through for new bands.
Yeah,
I'm just recommending all my favourite bands to you in the hope that maybe one of them will click. It's got that. They definitely had that 100 Reasons Funeral for a Friend a bit,
Yeah.
like early Funeral for a Friend vibe about them, which I loved all those bands. Like, and it also was like quite raw how it sounded.
yeah,
I say sounded like recording wise. Classic 2003 recorded, probably a bit live. It sounds like
yeah.
on a potato.
Potato's bad.
It wasn't as bad as My Little Bike or whatever they were called. Um,
Same producer, a potato.
yeah, Mr. Potato Head. Same microphone setup, which was one in the middle of the room. But if you can get like, I instantly got past the recording because it did just sound like it sounded like a mate had said, "Oh, 20 years ago to me, here's my band's EP."
Yeah.
That's what it sounded like. But then that was a really good one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and I mean that in the best way
Like,
possible.
oh, I
because
actually
it's
don't
just
have to lie to my friend for once. It's great.
Yeah, your band's actually quite good.
Yeah.
This
You
isn't
seem to
your
be
band,
enjoying
is
it.
it?
That's always a good one. If
This
you're not
isn't
sure,
secretly your old band, then, is it?
I wish, bloody hell.
Yeah, no, it was good. I'll give it that. Like, I think if you put time and, like we said before, sometimes you've got to put time and place on top of things
Yeah.
to add the right context. But this was great. Like, I really liked it. It was, yeah, apart from the recording, which I think, like I said, if you get past,
Yeah, and I think
and
sort of
if you can
suits
just
it.
enjoy music, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've said before my ears in terms of production are shit, so I'm not really one to comment, but I sort of like how it sounds. I think it suits it. Like if it was any fuller or I don't know, bigger, I think it might take something away from it a bit. But I mean, yeah, I'm
100%.
sure there's improvements you could make, and I'm sure they would. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Not
is it
using
just like
not using what was it, root vegetables for microphones. Yeah.
no, because
That's
that's
a
part of their
bad name.
process. Why do you hate art? Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned like 100 Reasons and Hell is for Heroes because I think they must have been contemporaries. I can't remember, but they're English Copperpot Journals, so I assume they all play together because it's a small old
Yeah.
scene, isn't it? But that scene was
This
so
is-
cool. Like all those bands sounded, and I never want to be like an old man on this, but I think that scene, I don't know if we'll get that again, where all those bands sounded so unique and so British, like, and didn't
I was
they
going to
obviously
say,
had influences that I'm aware of, but they all sounded really different, I think. And like not like
was
each
like-
other particularly. It was so weird. Like it was such a beautiful time.
it was like our version. If anyone ever listens to this podcast from America, I feel like this was our version of like Thursday and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
I feel like that was the British thing that happened. Was that I think you had like two bands for me anyway that like jumped out of it and carried on anyway and still were like good, but everyone I feel like you could put a circle around other bands around them, which were Funeral for a Friend and 100 Reasons or
Yeah.
Hell is for Heroes, maybe in the same kind of thing, and then you could put a circle around a bunch of bands that kind of came out at the same time, and you ended up with like I'm probably missing a couple of bands there, but there's probably like 6 bands, do you know what I mean, that all kind of rose up, and there was big circles you could draw around with loads of other bands that were all very similar.
Yeah, definitely.
And it was all so British. I agree with you. Like
It was amazing.
It was.
What a time. And they got like
Yeah,
genuinely
what a-
massive as well. Like seeing them on top of the pops and stuff. It's like, what the fuck? Like
mental times.
it was great. Like Million Dead and all
Yeah.
of that. Oh, I
Oh
loved
yeah,
it.
Million Dead.
Yeah, I was
That's
right
another
up
one.
Straza. And I still love all those
yeah,
bands,
yeah.
to be fair.
Yeah,
They've
no,
held up.
defo.
Maybe it's that uniqueness. I don't know, but I feel like they've held up really well. Those bands. They don't sound massively dated. Maybe that's again,
I
it might just be me because I love them. But
I think it sounds good because it wasn't trying to be American,
yeah,
which I feel like a lot of bands fall into the trap of. Is that there's pop punk's always been that thing. Like I know we tried to do it with our last band. It was like, let's do a British pop punk
Yeah.
band that isn't. I'm not singing about how I've had a hard time in high school.
Yeah.
And, do you know what I mean? And all of this stuff, and like I hate my mum
yeah.
and all of that.
It's not just
That
picture
like
the
we
red
always used to
cups
joke around.
everywhere.
Yeah. Like what? Where did you've ordered them off Amazon
Yeah,
US, and
you're
you've
from
probably
Lowestoft.
paid more. Yeah, exactly what you're doing. Like, and yeah, it's not all pizza and pool parties. Like
Yeah,
that's not our pop punk, right? But yeah, no, I don't. I feel like that thing that we were just talking about, like that moment in time, was British bands inspiring British bands.
yeah, which is amazing.
And it means you didn't get that weird, like we just said, like, yeah, everything's on the beach and graduating for prom, like in your lyrics.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
you're from Lowestoft. I mean, Lowestoft's going to be the place now.
That's always my go-to comedy place, and I don't know why.
It is.
But it
It's
also
not
like
even that.
wasn't bleak, was it? Which I think can be the other way English for stuff like to sound English. Like sometimes
Yeah.
it can just go too far the other way and be like, well, it's pretty shit. Like the weather's shit. This is going to be bleak. But that stuff never was really. Like it was obviously
No.
sort of emo adjacent, I guess. So it was quite earnest or whatever. But it was always quite uplifting.
Yeah.
Like I found like 100 Reasons, especially, just a really uplifting band.
Oh yeah, massively.
Yeah, which is great. But yeah, I was listening to something the other day, and they were saying how like stuff that tries to be cool or tries to fit in with the time would date really badly because obviously it just goes out of date really quickly. So I think this sort of music maybe falls into that, where it's like, well, they were just doing what they liked anyway. It just happened to get like catch on, so it's not going to sound terrible now either because it wasn't like of its time really.
Yeah, they weren't trying to do. They weren't setting out to do something. They just did a rock band and it came out like this. Do you know what I mean? Like and I think it had nudges. Like I said, I always feel like them bands, and you're in around, and you hear another good band, you're like, oh, that's cool. I like what they were doing, and you kind of end up in nudges, and then you end up in these kind of buckets of similar-esque bands. But yeah, 100 Reasons was the one. Another band that jumped into my head where the prettier bits of this sounded like or reminded me of, which you may or may not have like heard, but it was a band called Milesome Compilation.
Oh,
who had one really good EP, and then the EP after was a bit too as in the band for me, which I never minded. They were good. There was like some good massive riffs, but they went from what sounded like they could be a bit emo-y and a bit like this, and I was like, oh, that EP that they released was fucking great. If anyone has never heard that, the EP is called The View Is Amazing, which is well worth a listen. Even now, I think you'd listen to that. It was a bit more polished than this, and it was a bit later, but it really reminded me of that. Anyway, the pretty bits. And yeah, 100 Reasons is the other one, which I famously always have. Well, not famously. I think it was the last time we all met up as a group of friends. I outed my problems with 100 Reasons. Drunkenly. I actually really like 100 Reasons. I'm going to caveat that before I say say what I said to you, but I just find their drummer infuriating as a drummer. I always felt like he was just drumming too quietly for a big rock band.
Just funny people to have with a band. You made it sound like it was going to be really salacious as well.
No, it was so minor.
No, just
it's so minor. Yeah, basically, it always sounds like I really want him to be like this, and then he's just sort of like tickling in the background. And it's not wrong because the drums sound great on the album or stuff, but I've seen him live as well, and I felt like I was like, bloody hit it, will ya? That was all I felt like shouting. And they're really good live. I really like 100 Reasons. It's not it's just a running joke that we seem to have.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this was really good. I really enjoyed it.
Great.
Yeah.
Tiny, man. Have you seen the numbers on Spotify? I think I said to you, they only have to Spotify. I mean, I don't know, went like 5 years ago, recent. Even though it came out in, is it 2000? Oh, I don't know, 2001? Pilots was 2003.
Okay.
Yeah, but they just weren't even on Spotify. They're fucking tiny. Like, yeah, the figures on Spotify are insane. And most of them are me, I imagine. But I just think
and me now.
Yeah.
I had to double check I double checked with you the name of the band because I was like, I went on it and I know you'd already said it was small, but I think it said like, it just says less than 100.
Oh, it's next
it
level,
just doesn't tell you anything else. Like it's just like I mean, sure, it says the same on our podcast and probably will forever, but we're in the same boat as Copperpot Journals,
and they're great.
Yeah. And they're good, and maybe one day we'll be that good.
Yeah,
but mad, no, they were really good.
Like, I remember their second album coming out, Pilots, and me and a friend went to see him, and it was like upstairs. I can't remember where it was. It was in London. It was upstairs at a pub, and the room was like half full, if that.
Mm.
And they were amazing. But it was one of those gigs where there was loads of band members there, so I think they'd one of those bands maybe. Like I remember Hell is for Heroes, a few of them were there. I remember like Artie from what were they called? Gay for Johnny Depp. Do you remember them? He was there.
Yeah,
It
great
was just
band.
I can't remember who else now, but loads of like the great and good at the British rock scene were there, and it was like, oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I think they're a band's band, and that's not going to do
Yeah,
them
yeah.
any favors.
You either
really.
appreciate people, other people appreciate you in the space.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like you said, that doesn't always mean that doesn't convert to cash money, does it?
Unfortunately, bless them, because I've no idea if they've done any projects since. I don't know if they've done any like comeback.
Yeah,
I've heard
I couldn't
nothing.
actually see much on them
Yeah,
anywhere.
I would have no clue. If they're out there,
Yeah,
get in touch. Come and play for me.
drop us a DM,
Mate, I'd be all over it, honestly. Obviously, a few bands are doing
Ben will
comebacks
lose
and
his
stuff
mind.
now. If they did, I'd lose my
Yeah,
mind.
but why would you do a comeback if you used to do gigs that no one came to?
Yeah, you just yeah, and they're obviously
They probably think it's dead.
yeah, like with some bands, there's like a buzz in the interim, isn't there? Like with Ruben
Yeah,
and stuff.
just
but-
always a buzz. Yeah, exactly.
But I don't think there's been that with Copperpot Journals. And for the record,
Probably
I
been
think it's a
harsh on 'em.
disgrace. I'm not taking the mick. I think they're one
Let's
of the very
start it.
best.
We're going to start the buzz here.
Yeah,
This is it.
I love
This is
them.
going to pop off now.
I would say Pilots, the second album, is probably a better album. Like,
really?
Objectively. But I think this one's like more urgent. And if you're going to hear, well, obviously it's first one as well, but if you're going to hear them for the first time, I think this one's probably got bigger bangers.
Jump in
on it.
here.
Like Pilots is
Yeah.
just a bit more, I don't know, a bit more thought out and like, it's a really beautiful album. I love it.
Okay.
But yes, it's worth listening to. But this one's got bigger bangers, like Harder Than Cars, which I need to mention because the chorus I think is one of the best choruses of all time.
Mate, well, they did that British band thing as well, where they're like, even the verses sound like choruses, like they're that kind of good. Like I was like, oh, this is the chorus, and then it went into a chorus,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, this is the chorus, like kind of thing. Like I do feel like there was like this thing of just like, it wasn't necessarily thought out, like verse, chorus, bridge. Do you know what I mean? Like that classic kind of like layout. It was just sort of, that sounds good. Like there was no like worry about if the verse sounded catchier than the chorus
exactly.
or whatever. Like it was just like, that's a banger of a riff, or
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a good. Do you know what I mean? That's a good little bit. Keep that in. But yeah, no, they did have some on that. They did have some proper Bleeding Shotgun Roses lyrics, which
they
did
do,
make me
don't
laugh.
they? I
There was a
forgot.
line. There was a line that he shouted. This is how small they are. Their lyrics aren't even on Spotify, so I was trying to have a look. And because he shouted, "My heart is bleeding," at one point, which was
my
a proper
heart
emo.
bleeding. Yeah, that's
Proper
Harder Than
emo.
Cars. He does, bless him. That's
Is
also
it?
got the
Oh, okay.
lyric, and your noose won't work because you couldn't tie a knot to save your own life. Ah, it's so
That
emo.
is a good. That is a good line. That is a bit Taking Back Sunday.
Yeah,
What do you call it? What's that one? He's like, you could slit my throat, and with my one last dying breath, I'd apologise for bleeding on your shirt. That is a bit of that. Isn't it?
yeah, like Brand Newy as well.
Apologetic
Bless.
emo.
It's another very short one. I've just realised. I keep letting you off the hook.
Yeah,
here.
yeah, proper. Bless him.
7 songs. Good.
Yeah, you
What
keep
do you think
not
of the song
giving me
titles? Are pretty banging. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they were good actually. In that album title, it's all quite emo, isn't it? Like even Plotting to Kill Your Friends is a very like of the time emo title. I don't mind it though. We'll Fail Forever. We'll Fail Forever. That was a good one. I like that one.
Yeah. Yeah, Icarus Was Bored. They're all pretty good. Whether Is Your Common Ground is really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
They've got
yeah.
quite
No, they
long
were
songs, actually.
all solid. Yeah, it didn't feel like a short, like you, although you just said to me it is a short, I think there's like 8 tracks or something. It didn't feel like a short album. It wasn't like, I can't remember, you gave me something the other week and it was like a fucking metal album and it just raged through it in like 25 minutes. It was rotting out maybe or something. And I was like, Jesus Christ. It just rampaged
This is
through
probably
it.
a 40-minute one, to be fair.
Yeah, no, it was good. Mate, I loved it. I loved it of its time again, like we said before. Like, take it with a 2003 about it or whatever it was, 2001.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, mate, it was great. I really enjoyed it.
Oh,
I actually
glad to
really,
hear
really
it.
enjoyed it. I don't think because of just how old it is, it's going to jump into like a top 10 or anything.
No.
But I miss hearing bands like this.
I know, man.
Like, this is kind of why we did the podcast, like discovering stuff like this, because sometimes discovering old stuff is better than new stuff, I think.
Yeah.
Sometimes, don't get me wrong, I love finding new bands as well.
Yeah, it depends. Like, say, if you can put your 2001 ears in or whatever, you sometimes have to push through. It's the same with films. Like, you know, I love films.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to go into a 60s film thinking, this is going to be slower. They just had like their attitudes were just different to storytelling, and they're great, but you do have to kind of switch it up a bit.
Yeah, you have to accept its faults. Or not its faults, it's of the time. Like I said, in you have to just put a bit of context over the top, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. I'm glad you liked it.
On of its time as well. I think the album covers of its time as well. I didn't have it looks like a cartoon, not cartoon strong, like a painting or a whatever version of someone taking a picture out the back of a car.
Yeah, that's what I always thought it was.
Is that how I've interpreted it? Oh, okay, cool.
I like the font.
I like the font as well. Which I think taking a photo out of the back of a car of like a scene, again, very emo and
very
works.
emo, mate.
But yeah, no, awesome. I could easily put that up. I mean, why you haven't got that up behind you in your office cell, I don't know. We should start doing that.
I think that could go anywhere, couldn't it? I'd definitely have that up there.
Yeah.
Up there.
Get it up there. Stop messing about.
Instead of blankness.
But I bet you can't even get that. I bet you can't even get that as a print or anything.
Yeah, I'd have to fashion that myself. And then they'd sue me.
You're going to have to redraw it and then get it printed or something. I don't know.
Yeah. And they'd still sue me. Very litigious.
So, yeah. So what would you? I know this is like a big, not a big one for you, but like a fairly big one for you. What's your out of 10 on this?
It is a big one for me. This, you know, like as a youngster, and I've listened to it all the way through. And it was like a big deal for, I'd say, when I first moved out, and my friends who I was living with and started a band with, like we all loved it. So
okay.
I think I would go 9, you know, for this bad boy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
A big 9 as well. None of your
big
little 9s.
No
fucking
points.
Massive one.
A big 9.
Yeah.
I'd give it. I think, like I said, it's that weird one of like 7 feels really harsh, and 8 feels like I'm saying it's my favourite album ever, but it's not. I'm going to give it an 8 because I think if I'd have heard this in 2001, same as you, I think I would have been like, this is the best band ever.
Yeah.
Like, for that period of time. So yeah, I think I'd give it an 8 actually.
That's big. We don't often
really
have an away
it.
8, I don't think.
No. Away.
We're going for home and away now.
Yeah, I like it. Keep that. That stays. Yeah, I'll go an away 8. Yeah. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. I think I'd listen to it again.
That's big, isn't it? Because
yeah.
Again, we started
Sometimes
this because we couldn't
like,
be bothered to listen to each other's recommendations. So if we ever listen to anything again, that is fucking massive.
Then it's a win. I still have like I did the other day. I put Chat Pile on again the other day just because I was it was more like morbid intrigue than it was like I was kind of like, and I was trying to show like Soph, my other half. I was like, it's kind of weird. It's like a horror film as music, and she was like, that's not for me. I was like, I need to listen to it again and check that I'm not like missing. And I was like, no, yeah, it is what I thought it was. But yeah, no, I have re-listened. It got me. Yeah, it did get me.
I get excited to listen to it, like the same way I do about a horror film. Because I'm like, ooh, I'm about to listen to something
mucky. On the edge. I'll jump straight in. Ben.
Hi.
I took a risk and I've thrown a band out there that were one of my favourite bands of all time at you again. I mean, we keep referencing the Alexis on Fire one, but it didn't record properly. So no one's ever heard the fact that you slated Alexis on Fire because what did we lose? Episode 5 and 6 got lost to the depths of the internet. So I recommended Alkaline Trio From Here to Infirmary, which, as I told you last week, was... I think when they released this album, I think that was the first gig I ever went to, like proper gig.
Oh, was it?
Gig. Yeah. First ever gig. Our mate Jay's dad took us because we were like 14 or something.
Love that.
And then just stood at the back and got really pissed. I remember him back on the train and just like, your dad's a bit drunk, mate.
I like he actually came in though.
Yeah, he came and he watched. There was a band called Fletcher that supported.
Oh,
they were really good.
Fletcher.
Like, British band. I think British.
Yeah, I think they were.
That supported, and they're really good. And he was like, they were great. And he went and bought a T-shirt or a CD or whatever it was,
Amazing.
and he used to listen to it in his car. Yeah, no,
I love that.
Great band.
My
Good
dad
band.
sat outside when he took me to my first gig. Just sat in the
Did he
car
bought
reading
like
a
in the
novel.
car?
Fair play.
Such a dad.
Yeah, I know.
Such a dad move. That,
Incredible.
Anyway.
Yeah, sorry.
Alkaline Trio.
Yeah.
You said you'd heard bits of, but not much.
Yeah.
Go on, hit me with it.
It's yeah, I mean obviously I'd heard Stupid Kid and Private Eye. I'm not I I know these albums keep coming up and people must be like, does this guy even like music? But that's why Daddy's picking these, because there was just some things that just passed me by for some reason. I was just into other stuff by then and I don't know why. Like this must have been a weird period for me where I was getting into like the Copperpot Journals. So probably wasn't listening to much punk and stuff. And I know they've been around for a while, but obviously this was sort of the biggie, wasn't it?
Yeah. This was a rival, I think, on a like get on cut through, I guess.
Yeah. And even listening to Private Eye and Stupid Kid this time round, I was like, I barely listened. Like I barely know them. I don't know how.
Oh, okay.
I'm just like
I assumed you'd know them.
Like I definitely recognise them, but it's not like they're like, I don't know, some big Blink song that I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this from the days, but they weren't as big, I guess. But I liked it. Get it out of the way, since it's one of your faves.
Oh, good.
Like it didn't.
You don't have to.
This one's like very sort of had to be there for me, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
It was great. Like songwriting's great, good, very like legit punk, which I kind of knew they were. They've always been like the cooler big punk band, haven't they? Like and it sort of reminded me a lot of the like punk compilations I used to listen to that got me into all the bands, like the short music with short people and
what was it like? Punktastic and all that.
What labels? I can't remember. Was that Fat Wreck? I can't remember.
Maybe one of them. I think they were on it. Yeah, that was always good.
It reminded me like a combination of all of those bands, like Bouncing Souls and all that shit.
Oh yeah.
And I mean shit in a good way, because I love all that stuff.
Like good shit.
Yeah, good shit. So yeah, it really took me back to then. Like I really enjoyed it. I just think maybe had to be there. That's really unfair. But I had to get back. What
didn't click?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure. Maybe
is it all the like? Is it the fact that it's quite themed? It's not like a concept album, but like a lot of the songs are like not about like him or stuff like that. They're about like a serial killer or like they're written about different. I like that about them. The fact that it's not all about like my girlfriend broke up with me.
Yeah.
Like or anything like that. Sometimes it is written about like stuff that he was reading at the time and like serial killers and like all of this and detectives and like can be a bit not concept album, that's the wrong way of describing it, but like it has got a bit more of like a theme almost.
Yeah, which I genuinely like that. I've always liked their like vibe. Like I love the goth punk thing. I don't know why it hasn't connected. I honestly couldn't tell you. Like even again, like Stupid Kid and Private Eye don't do loads for me. I don't know. It just feels like listening to Green Day, not in like a style way, but the same way I feel about listening to Green Day now. Where it's like, oh yeah, that was what I liked in the 90s, and now I don't know. It just does nothing for me.
Do
really.
It. Yeah.
And it was a perfectly lovely listen. Like there was some I wrote some tunes down. There's some tunes. Which one was it? I can't remember. I'll Take Lots of Alcohol. Massive tune.
Yeah.
That's gone on my playlist. Private Eye went on my playlist because it is a big song. Like I totally get why that cut through, like, and was a big old hit.
I think Stupid Kid's better than Private Eye. Private Eye is easier to sing along to, but I think Stupid Kid had a little, I think, a crossover bit into like a bit of an emo-y pop, but like punk rock, like kind of anthem.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I feel like it's a proper like. I remember being at gigs at like my first band used to play, and we used to always put Alkaline Trio on before like we played or after we played or whatever, like on the crappy PA. And like everyone always used to know Stupid Kid, like always. Like it used to just be one of those kind of. I think if you know it, you know it.
Oh yeah.
If you know, you know.
Oh.
It is a great album though. I don't know. I think that I could recommend a couple of albums because I feel like you've got to. I think you've got to dip your toe in a little bit.
Yeah. And they've
a
got
little bit
loads,
more maybe.
I love that. They've just been so
many
consistently smashing them out. And that's
Yeah,
brilliant. The amount of bands we've done who it's like have been together for 15 years and you look and it's like 3 albums. And that's not a dig at them. I know there's issues and stuff. But these guys, just every other year, album.
There was, from 2001 to probably like 2012, 13, I think they were just every 2 years album.
Yeah. Amazing.
And they used to all, I've seen them like 7 times maybe.
They seem to give loads.
It was because they used to release an album and then tour for a year.
Yeah.
6 months off, write an album, go again. Like just always, like relentlessly. Always used to be able to go and see him. Every album always used to be good. Like, and like I said, like used to have quite cool themes. Like the one after this, Good Morning, but spelt like morning, like as if someone's died. Yeah. Obviously, it's Alkaline Trio. Lovely play on words. Is a banger of an album. I'd say that's that and Crimson, which was the one after, which is like with Mercy Me, which you might have heard, which is just that is a great example of a really good pop album. Like it's actually quite a poppy album, that one, if you take Mercy Me. That was when they were at their most like polished pop song, but with this dark twist. Like, so I think you'd appreciate that, because I know you just appreciate like good pop music.
Oh yeah, I do remember that album.
There's a kind of 80s one or two sounding ones on those ones with a bit of synth and stuff like that. Are quite cool. You should definitely have a little listen to that. I didn't realise this was 2000. Did you say Copperpot Journals was 2001 as well?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, this is so
mad
weird
that this was coming out at the same time.
It's weird, isn't it?
Like it feels very far removed from
it really
each other.
Does.
But still probably both like could have, I don't know, 100 Reasons probably played Reading when Alkaline Trio did.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So it is a weird like thing. I do feel like they are one of them bands that they've just had their sound and carried on with it. I don't feel like they've ever gone, here's our like, I don't know, you know when like Newfound Glory have their heavier album. We always reference Newfound Glory just because they've had so many fucking albums.
There's so much
this is our slightly more chuggy album, and this is our more poppy album, and like that kind of evolution. Like I said, they got a touch more poppy, but it was just where they got like better songwriters. I think they never lost their punk like edge. Never was too poppy or whatever. I know Matt obviously went out for a bit and did Blink.
Yeah.
Which at the time I was pretty like happy about. I was like,
seemed a good shout.
Like, yeah, no, he's a great call. Like perfect. Like such a good voice. Like I do like that about them. The two voice.
Yeah,
like,
the two
singers.
voices are great. And it's always been those
quite
two
distinctive.
consistently, hasn't it? Like,
yeah, those two are the band.
And then just Final Tap with drummers, I think.
they were pretty solid for a bit.
Did they have,
like they've gone full circle, which is really weird.
Yeah, is it Atom? I know Atom was in there for a bit.
Atom Willard, yeah. He if you go and watch the Private Eye video, he's playing drums for them live.
Oh, really?
So Atom's was originally Rocket at the Crypt, then Offspring, was in Trio for a bit, then Angels and Airwaves, then Against Me. He's like literally been in so many bands I like, it's mad.
Yeah.
He's probably one of my favourite drummers. And now their drummer, Derek, who did like 4 or 5 albums in a row, who's a really good drummer, good singer as well. I've seen him live and they all swapped instruments. And he played bass and sung a song.
Yeah.
And Matt went and played drums and the bassist played guitar. And they played a song called I'm Fine, which was on a more recent album. But they all switched instruments and played, and it was like that. I was like, that would be a good band.
Yeah.
Like that. Like he's got a really good voice.
That's mad.
But yeah, he did 4 albums with them, pretty consistent. And then I think there was some sort of like health issues or something like that. And he left. And at the time I was messaging a mate and I was like, it's got to be Atom. And then literally like 2 days later, they were like, Atom's back in the band. Awesome. I think he like helped them out with some gigs back then or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think he was ever like in the band. Yeah. So that was such a great call.
Yeah.
Again, been some of my favourite bands like Against Me and stuff like that.
Legend. They're just
absolutely great band.
Yeah, I don't know if you have like an equivalent of this. They're one of those bands I've like always respected. And like loads of my friends love them, and loads of different like groups of friends. So not even like my music friends, loads of my like school friends who aren't massively into music. Like love Alkaline Trio, I think, from back in the day, and go and see them all the time. And I've always like loved their vibe. They seem like good dudes. Just never really listened to them. Just didn't come up.
There you go. Here's my one, and you're gonna, after the conversation a minute ago, when I obviously listened to 100 Reasons, Hell is for Heroes.
No, that is a fair shout, I think.
Never really listened to them. I think I liked 100 Reasons, and I liked other bands in and around that space or whatever. But like that one's one I never really listened to. And then you boys were always like, "Oh, Hell is for Heroes," and I was like, yeah, they're all right. Like, I don't dislike them.
Yeah.
What's that big banger?
They've got a few, mate. I Can Climb Mountains.
What's that one? No, like, yeah, that's it. That one. I know that one. That one's great. Yeah, that I Can Climb Mountains. Huge song.
Huge.
And that's, apart from that, I'd say I probably know like one other song. I've seen them live
Everyone's
and
got
stuff,
one.
and they're really good live. But yeah,
Yeah.
they're probably a bit of a sleeper band almost. Like, I know I should probably like them.
Yeah.
But now I've almost, maybe it's like Trio you just said there. Now you've missed the boat. It's
Yeah,
probably
I feel
gone.
like I've missed it. And it was a really nice listen. Like, it's not a dig at the album at all, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just didn't hit home for me.
Did you check out any of the lyrics? Because
No,
I
didn't
really would.
I'm not much of a lyric guy. Is that bad?
As a singer
Yeah, I know.
and lyricist, that's
I'm a shit
awful.
lyricist. I don't care about lyrics.
At
I really
least
should
you're
have.
self-aware.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should, because there's a couple of them that they're quite witty, and
Yeah, I
like
can
there's almost a
imagine.
bit of like satire, like dark comedy in there as well. With quite a lot of the lyrics, so I'd highly recommend like listening it back and reading some of the lyrics, because some of it's quite dark, but also like with a bit of a wink.
Yeah.
Like they don't mind being a bit sarcastic and stuff like that in some of the lyrics. So I think they're very clever, like as a band, like lyrically.
Yeah.
So is Good Morning, like the one after as well.
Yeah, I just feel like
It
they've
sounds
always...
like you just thought it was solid.
Yeah. So sorry.
Like I've said more than you, I think, which worries me.
I did like it. Yeah, sorry. I just don't... yeah, it was a solid
It was fun.
album.
Yeah.
They just seem like such a respected band, and I really love that. Like when they're that big in the punk scene, because they're like a big old band, aren't they?
Yeah,
They just never seem to get any shit. You never hear any rubbish about them. I might have
No,
missed something, I
true.
don't know. But yeah, they've
It's
just
like,
been going all those years.
Yeah, another one for me is like Everyone Loves Rancid. I've never really listened to them.
Oh, I loved them when I was a kid.
Yeah, see, like I remember, I know songs like Ruby Soho and like the big ones like that. Like I don't know, whatever. There's probably like 4 or 5 that I know.
Yeah.
But and like I think I had Outcome the Wolves, like the album. I remember having it, or it's something like that, isn't it? Outcome the Wolves, something like that. The
Yeah.
album title. I vaguely remember owning that album and listened to it, but. Again, like everyone, again's got so much respect for them in the space that you just know they're good.
Oh, yeah.
Even though, like, I've probably not listened to enough of them. So I get where you're coming from on that. There's just respect.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which I love.
Yeah, definitely.
So I enjoyed it. I may go back to. I might try and go back to them in general, actually, because they're playing Slam Dunk, aren't they?
Yeah,
So I
I
would
think
quite like
unofficially,
What,
not
they're playing
unofficially
Slam
playing Slam Dunk.
I was gonna say.
No, they are officially playing Slam Dunk. But I said off the record, like as not a recommendation, which will probably just happen to be what we used to happen when we recommended albums to each other. But go and listen to Good Morning.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I sort of remember
the
that album
album after this.
more, maybe because they were already big at that point. So when it
Okay.
came out, there was a bit more fanfare.
Yeah. But I think they
remember it
played on
coming out,
like
I don't think.
yeah, I think they played on like MTV or Jimmy Fallon or something when that one came out. Like it was like they were at that kind of level, I guess.
Yeah.
Song titles?
They're good, man. Like they suit them, don't they? Like that kind of macabre, bit tongue in cheek. Like Mr. Chainsaw made me laugh. Take Lots with Alcohol. I said that earlier, but yeah, Take Lots with Alcohol is good and a banger.
You always say take with lots of alcohol.
Yeah.
Like you always end up saying that one wrong.
You can't.
But it's actually cleverer the way it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Bloodied Up. I'm Dying Tomorrow. They're good. You're Dead.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's straight to the point.
I think Stupid Kids are great. That's a great song title.
It is, yeah.
Like, yeah, that song's always going to cross over, man. Like, you know, great title, fun. What's not to like?
It's written about stuff that everyone can relate to.
Yeah.
Like being infatuated with someone, but then realising a couple of years later that's actually pretty embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like kind of thing. Like that's what like that song's about or whatever. But yeah, that just brings back a core memory of an ex-girlfriend of a mate of mine being out and this being on and her like singing the song and pointing at my mate in the pub. True story.
It's too harsh.
It was so emo. So needless and so emo.
It's such a childhood story. It's amazing. Love it.
Young Love.
The
album. Where are you putting the album cover?
I'm putting the
Nowhere.
album cover nowhere.
I never want to wake up and see that.
No, it's horrible. Can I say nowhere?
Nowhere's fine.
It's sort of not shit. Like for what it is and the time, I sort of don't hate it.
I like the font,
Yeah,
the kind of
another
like
good font.
graveyard font. They've always had cool fonts, and like they've always been on theme. They're always like really on theme with like their stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, I'll have to send you a video of them playing. Like they used to play live in full suits,
Yeah.
like black suit, black tie, waistcoat. The drummer used to play in a Vickers
Amazing.
like dog collar
Must be
and
so
everything,
long.
and like. But I've seen them play with the eyes in like that as well.
Really?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, for Halloween, and like they came out and they just didn't really say anything, but like, and then they have all the lights down quite low and stuff. It's well moody, like, and it's theatrical without being over the top.
Yeah,
I think is the best way of describing
especially
it. Which,
playing the sort of
again,
music they do. I quite like that, like clash.
Yeah,
because it is actually.
It could be cheesy.
Yeah, but I think it works. Like fair play.
Yeah.
I just don't want
no,
it up
they're
in my
good.
house,
Mm.
if that's okay.
No, fine.
I like the title.
I do have an Alkaline Trio. I'm just looking behind me. I have to point the right way. That is an Alkaline Trio print,
is it?
which is a purple pumpkin, and it was the album that's called "Is This Thing Cursed?" I've just noticed it. Yeah,
Lovely.
it's also Taking Back Sunday one.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, well emo. Brand new one.
nice.
There's all sorts here. I just spotted them all.
Star Wars, most emo of all.
Star Wars, most emo of all of them. Yeah.
Loves his sister.
So go on then. What are you giving it out of 10?
I'd give it a 7.
Yeah,
It's a
I
good
knew you were
album,
going to say
man.
that.
Like
Yeah.
I've got no beef with it at all. That's an awful thing to say about music. I've got no
Again,
beef with
it's
it. No,
haven't got a
it's a
problem
really
with it.
solid album. Good songwriting. I enjoyed it. Yeah, it just didn't proper grab me, but that's gonna
I
happen.
think to the point before, if you gave me Hell is for Heroes now, I would say 7 out of 10. It was
Yeah.
good, like, and I respect it. I think 7's going to end up inadvertently being the best score you can get on this podcast.
Yeah.
Not like just 7's just got so much respect around it. But
Yeah.
it's going back. I'm going to sound like you. Is it better than a 9? I'm not sure. I'm going to give it a 9 though, just because of, like I said, I think it's one of the first. It's in one of the first 5 albums I ever bought. One of the first band I ever saw live.
Yeah.
Like, for me, it's just like an absolute like golden oldie. You
Massive.
could say that. Yeah.
We have gone for 2
Banger.
classics today.
Yeah, no, and we've both gone. Oh no, I went 8 for Copperpot Journals, but yeah, no, loved it.
Nice.
Speaking of like throwing back or taking back Sunday lyrics or whatever.
Oh yeah.
God, they were bad. I think we spoke about it, but I forgot to send you the
Yeah, we
video
did,
in the
didn't we,
background
briefly?
of how bad they were at when we were young. Oh God,
When we were young.
it wasn't good.
I'm just having a look because I
Yeah,
think they've
and-
announced the 2025 lineup as well, haven't they?
They have. It was Blink, definitely. I remember seeing. Who else was it?
Yeah, and Panic at the Disco.
Was it
by the
Panic
looks
at
of
the
it.
Disco? Yeah. Who I'm not a massive fan of. That first album was quite good at the time. But they have released some, like, if you like pop songs, go and listen to Panic at the Disco. Panic at the Disco, This Is Gospel, the song. And just tell me it's not a great song. Like a pop song, not a pop punk band anymore, just a fucking great anthem pop song. This Is Gospel. That he plays all the instruments on it, or he can play all the instruments on it as well, which is insane. Like the singer.
Yeah, sacked everyone, didn't
So
he?
yeah, I'm not a massive Panic at the Disco fan, but I've got a bit of respect for them after hearing that and seeing him do that. And that song is just a great pop song, just like really good. You'll appreciate that.
I don't really know him other than the biggie. The biggie.
Yeah, which was an absolute anthem.
Which is a tune, let's face it.
Yeah. Oh, massive. Who else is on there?
Let's have a look.
It was, I swear it was Blink. Definitely Blink. Yeah, Blink, Panic at the Disco. Weezer, got time for that, always.
Yeah.
Not Loose, got
It's
time
really
for that.
small. Avril Lavigne.
Not Loose.
I've got time
Avril
for that.
Lavigne.
It's that sort of festival, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel that's good fun, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yellow
man.
Card, Bad Religion. Bad Religion's good.
I think Broken
Taking
are
Back
doing it, aren't
Sunday.
they? Which is cool.
Are they?
Yeah, I'm sure they were.
That's cool. Story So Far are playing. Oh yeah, Don Broco down the bottom there. Yeah. Nice.
Lovely.
I like that. Stray Light Run. I used to love that.
Bloody hell.
Movie Life are playing, mate. Didn't notice
Really
that.
takes me back.
Movie
some of this.
Life.
I love the Movie Life.
I've never
Bloody
seen them
hell.
live.
They're one of my faves.
Yeah, Let Live. I don't mind Let Live. Quite like Let Live.
Oh yeah, I didn't know they were still
Yeah,
about.
it's all right. It's not. I don't think it's as good as last time, but it is good.
No, they always sort of nail it, don't they? It sounds like
Mm.
a fairly problematic festival for some reason, but the
Yeah, I don't
lineup's
know.
always solid.
Yeah, if they could print a T-shirt, they'd be all right.
Yeah, God, that was funny.
Fucking hell, was it Old Found Glory or whatever? Like,
Yeah,
and all of
it was
that.
so good. Some of the most comedy spelling mistakes. I loved it.
It felt like someone read the list of the bands out over the phone to someone,
Yeah,
as opposed to them having like a list written down for the T-shirt. And they were
yeah,
like, "What was that?" And it was like Nip Bound Glory, and they were like, "Oh, it's Old Found Glory or whatever." I can't remember what it was like.
so good.
Oh my god, it was
Maybe
so
someone who'd
bad.
never heard of them as well.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, you'd know, right?
Yeah,
The guy that
exactly.
printed the T-shirts was into early '90s hip hop, definitely, and not
Love
a
it.
massive NWA fan, not a Blink fan.
Not new fund Glora.
That was it, or whatever it was. Oh god, it's so good. What you recommending this week?
I'm gonna. Well, you might have heard them though. I keep doing this.
Oh, go
Did you
on.
ever listen to RX Bandits?
No. There you go. There's
Sweet.
another one like Rancid or whatever. I know that one song. Is it like I'm gonna mix
don't
them up with
know.
another band? 1984 or something? Is there a song called that?
Maybe.
Or am I
I should
thinking
know.
of
I'll have to
Millencolin?
look. I
I
don't
think I'm thinking
know.
of Millencolin. Don't worry.
Possibly.
But go on.
I'm gonna go for the
What's
band
the album?
as an ex-Scar boy. We can talk about Scar then, but let's go for the Resignation. They've got loads of good ones, but the Resignation is
Okay.
probably the one. So yeah,
All right,
let's go for
nice.
that.
That's a nice throwback. That's a good shout. That's a band that I go back
Sweet.
to recommending bands that went past you and for some
Yeah.
reason never listened to.
Perfect.
This one, I feel like we've swapped now, and you're recommending bands that are well known, and I'm hopefully recommending one that you haven't heard
Lovely.
or heard of, because I don't remember many people who were hearing this album or talking about it. The band's called Captain We're Sinking,
Oh yeah, maybe rings a bell.
No.
I definitely don't know it, so it's fine.
and the album's called The Future Is Cancelled.
Lovely.
I got recommended it by someone that got recommended it, and it just did the rounds kind of thing within like a group of mates. But I don't think I ever told you to listen to them. So
Yeah. No, it doesn't ring a
I don't
bell.
think they've ever done anything since either that I've noticed. I think they
Yeah.
literally did that album, but it's great. So
Sweet.
there you go.